Hello, my friends. Welcome back. Today, another crow story. Last time, Crow had killed and eaten his one and only friend. But he got found out. So Crow had to leave that place. And go and find another place to make mischief. But you see, Crow had made such mischief from village to village to village to village that whenever he arrived in a new place, people would just chase him off again. No, we don't want to see you. You're nothing but trouble here, Mr. Chulyen, old Mr. Crow. So Crow flew up the coast and then he came to a village he had never been to before. This was a village of geese, made up entirely of geese people, the goose tribe. And he fell in with them one spring day, just like today, and he thought he quite liked living here. So he settled down and he thought he would spend the summer with the goose people. He even married a goose girl, the chief goose daughter, no less. And they were very happy together and they had lots of babies, which are in evidence today in certain varieties of Canada goose, which have black feet and black heads. That is from their ancestor, the crow. So a very pleasant spring rolled into summer, which began to roll into autumn, or fall, as you guys have it in North America, and we once did here too. Fall rolled around, and the geese started to think that it was time to fly south for the winter, as was their tradition, right, and custom. And they said, "You, Mr. Crow, I'm sorry," said all Crow's new brothers-in-law, "you will have to stay here because it's a long way right over the Pacific Ocean, and you are not strong enough to make it." And Crow puffed up at this and he said, "What? I can fly just as well as you. Look!" And he took off into the sky, did loops the loops, barreled down towards the earth, spinning round, doing somersaults. And true enough, Crow was a much more acrobatic and agile flyer than any goose. Well, after all that, the geese had to admit that Crow would have to come with him. But privately, they still had their doubts that Crow would have to have the stamina for the long flight to the wintering grounds. Well, the days began to shorten and the geese people took off into the sky and Crow with them, flying at the head of the formation, flying with a arrowhead of geese behind him. But after a few days, sure enough, Crow began to get tired. The geese were right. And Crow began to drop back and drop back and drop back until finally they'd come too far. They couldn't fly back, but they couldn't go on. The geese had to take it in turns to literally carry Crow. They would carry Crow on their backs, one after the other. But after a while, even the geese became too tired for this. They couldn't keep it up. They couldn't carry on. Otherwise, they wouldn't reach their wintering grounds either, and they would all die. So they said, "Crow, I'm sorry. We're going to have to leave you on your own. If you can make it back to the coast, maybe you can fly gradually back up the coastline to our village, and we'll see you next spring." And they all left. Even Crow's wife bid him a tearful farewell and flew on with the rest of her people, geese people. Crow thought, "Bugger, I've had it now." And he flew down and down and down and thought to himself, "Well, I am in a right pickle." But then Crow remembered that there is such a thing as magic words. Words in those days, like these days, have power. And we are all, every one of us, magicians. And Crow said, "I wish there was a rock for me to land on." And in that moment, sure enough, a rock grew out of the sea, rose up from beneath the surface of the water, and Crow landed on that rock. Didn't he, Nero? Lucky Crow was saved by his quick-thinking wit and the magical words he uttered. So Crow stayed on that rock for a few days, recovering his strength, maybe picking a bit of floating crap that flowed by to sustain himself. But he was starting to get hungry and thirsty, and he didn't really know which way was home. Then, after a few days standing on this rock in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, Crow sees a shape moving over the horizon, a sort of white shape, and then a burst of water coming out of it, and he goes, "Aha! That there is a whale. That is my salvation," thought Crow. He flew off over towards the horizon, towards this whale, and he shouted out, "Oi there, Mr. Whale," said Crow. "Hello," said the whale, because that's how whales sound. And Crow said, "I'm lost, my friend. Would you please give me a ride back to shore?" And the whale said, "Of course, my friend. Just fly into my blowhole and I'll dive down to make speed. If you need to take a breath, just, give me a shout and I'll rise up to the surface and you can come out for some air." So Crow flew into that whale's blowhole, and the whale dove down beneath the water and swam towards the shore. After a while of this, Crow began to run out of oxygen and sort of said, "Can I come up, please?" And up they came, and there Crow could see the blue mountains of land. They were coming towards the shore. Now, you've got to remember the thing about whales. When they're just swimming along so that their blowhole is exposed, their eyes are still underneath the water. So this whale, he couldn't actually see the shore himself. So Whale said to Crow, "Can you see the shore yet?" And Crow, eyeing the horizon, said, "No, nothing but water," he lied. So Crow went back into the blowhole, and Whale said, "Well, we must push on then." And he dived down and propelled himself ever faster towards the shore. Then Whale said, "I'm coming up. See if we're getting near shore." Crow popped out of Whale's blowhole, and sure enough, the shore was right there. Crow could see trees. The mountains were looming quite tall above him. And Whale said, "Can you see the shore yet?" And Crow said, "I can just see the tips of the mountains on the far horizon." And Whale said, "That's strange. I'm sure I can feel the water warming and the sea getting shallow beneath me." And Crow said, "No, I think that's that's a reef I can see. Can we get a move on, please?" So Crow dived down through that whale's blowhole, and Whale, eager to impress that Crow, dived and propelled himself right towards the shore. And oh my God, it's right there! And he crashed up the beach and beached himself all over the sand. He had a bloody face from it, and he was stranded up on the shore. And before that whale could wriggle his way back down towards the water to safety, Crow leapt out of his blowhole and began picking up rocks and just chucking it into Whale's blowhole. And it stuffed up, and then Whale suffocated, couldn't breathe, and he died there and then. "Ha ha! That was hilarious," said Crow. And he took the rocks out the blowhole, got in that dead whale carcass, and began to live there for a while, waiting for that whale carcass to decompose so he could eat it. Cunning Crow. But, you see, Crow would not have that whale all to himself, because a little further up that coastline was a village, and a stranded whale means whale meat, and human villagers would soon be on their way. But that, my friends, is a story for next time. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much to my Patreon supporters and all of you out there who comment and like these videos. That really helps me out very much. I'll see you next time for the next installment of Crow the Trickster. Thank you very much.